Healthy Lifestyle Crib presents How to Avoid Making a Fool of Yourself in an Argument. Let's begin. Number 1. Keep to the topic. Nothing is more annoying than an argue partner who can't keep the conversation focused. A common error of amateur debaters is this very mistake. Their obsession with proving their opponent wrong leads them to completely sidetrack the discussion. Imagine you and your pal are having a heated debate over the Romans or any other period of history. You claim that the Romans ripped from the Greeks for their creative influences, and I agree with you. However, your pal has the complete other view. He claims that the Romans struck out on their own and were true pioneers. If you're a good debater, you'll do what you can to show him he's wrong. You unearth a few pieces of proof. The goal is to find a side-by-side comparison of two statues, one Greek and one Roman. As expected, they share a striking resemblance. Doesn't that back up your claim? Indeed, this is a compelling case. Your pal is probably aware of this fact. But victory is still what he seeks. That means he might totally change the topic of the conversation. Like how a Russian shuttle landed on the moon 10 years before the Apollo 11 mission. Should we draw any conclusions about the efficacy of American efforts, given that the Soviet Union beat us to the punch? The parallel is not terrible at first glance. And you might be fooled if you aren't careful. However, the new example he offers doesn't do anything to support his position. In reality, it only serves to shift focus, making it even more clear that he has run out of things to say. Even if you think you're losing a debate, it's important to stick to the subject at hand. This will help you avoid embarrassment and make the situation more pleasant for everyone. Number 2. Do not lose your cool. Controversies, no matter how meaningless, may stir up a lot of dirt. As expected, emotions will run high when two people with opposing viewpoints argue over a topic about which they feel strongly. However, this also means that mistakes are to be expected. The truth is that when we're feeling emotional, we tend to make rash decisions. Emotions are potent instruments, but they can greatly affect how you act. You could yell at them. It's possible that you're starting to sound more accusatory and confrontational. Furthermore, you are more prone to say things that you will later come to regret. Now, then, what is the solution? The ideal course of action, of course, is to maintain composure in tense situations. This is easier said than done, though, especially if the dispute becomes personal. An argument that touches too near to home can cause even the most skilled debaters to lose their cool. Exactly how then can you maintain your composure? When you feel your emotions beginning to rise, stop for a moment and collect yourself. In more ways than one. Find a way to get out of there physically. Whether you're seated or standing, try moving. Or, you might use that time to go have a drink. Anything that causes a pause in the discourse is fair game. A minor adjustment could be all it takes to shake you out of it. Of course, you can't always just up and physically alter things. In such a circumstance, it may help to just adopt a more relaxed posture. Maintain a neutral stance and don't start swinging your arms around. Relax and take a seat. Let your guard down. And try to avoid tensing up your body. This nonchalant stance will confuse your opponent and prevent you from letting your emotions get the better of you in a fight. Number 3. Just say you don't know. When you're in a fight, the last thing you want to do is surrender. However, if you admit that you don't know, or you aren't sure, you can prevent things from being much worse. Consider the following scenario. You are having a computer-related argument with someone. Perhaps you're discussing the relative merits of Macs and PCs. You've been traveling back and forth for a while now, so it's only natural that you're both starting to feel the effects of fatigue. However, your rival shows no signs of stopping. This leads you to despair. And instead of giving in, you concoct an explanation. You may have even thought it was a good idea. But as soon as the words leave your mouth, you recognize how ridiculous you sound. But once it's spoken, it's said. You can't just ignore what you just said. You can go one of two ways from here. Either you give in and admit that you made it up, or you steadfastly defend your position. The odds are fairly high that you'll make a fool of yourself either way. Don't put unnecessary pressure on yourself. Don't throw a wrench in your own case. If you're at a loss for words, it's time to accept ignorance. I understand how discouraging it may sound. Nevertheless, it is not as horrible as you may be thinking. In fact, if you answer, I don't know, the dispute usually ends abruptly and unexpectedly. We might as well just say, we disagree, since that's what this sounds like. You didn't win the argument, but at least you didn't seem foolish doing it. And if you ask me, that's not half bad. Number 4. Let them complete. During a heated debate, your thoughts are racing at the speed of light. You have some fresh ideas for examples in mind. Or coming up with original arguments to disprove the other party's claims. In addition, you can't wait to unleash your next brilliant concept once it finally materializes in your mind. So you engage in a practice that is common among debaters. You jump right in with your argument, rather than waiting for your opponent to finish. You demand that they stop what they're doing and listen to you while you repeatedly interrupt them and raise your voice. Yes, breaking the flow of someone's thought with an interruption can be quite helpful. However, that's about all you can do with it. To begin, it shows a lack of respect to interrupt someone. If you won't let your opponent finish a sentence, you can't expect them to conduct a polite conversation with you. You're not arguing with them if you keep throwing out fresh points left and right. To be honest, all you're doing is berating them. This makes it difficult for anyone, including your opponent, to take you seriously. However, that isn't the only benefit to maintaining silence. If you have a practice of constantly cutting other people off, it will undermine your own points. A moment of reflection is in order whenever you come up with a fresh point. To check its relevance to your case. When you interrupt, though, you are essentially speaking without thinking. You care more about being listened to than you do about making your points. Number 5. Avoid conversing with bullies. A fight with someone who is set on embarrassing you can happen at any time. They may be less concerned with showing their own rightness than they are with proving you wrong. We refer to people like these as conversational bullies. They're the ones who paint you in the worst possible light. People who take what you say out of context and use it against you. If your character has different views than the bully, they will be attacked in conversation. How do you save your dignity when a bully starts picking apart your argument? Avoiding arguments is your best bet. The volume of your voice needs to be kept down. Keep your emotions in check and don't show them to them. You feel threatened or that they are irritating you. Conversational bullies frequently utilize a certain tactic that leaves amateur debaters flummoxed. It's easy to use the "so you're saying" method. A bully, after you've made your point, would rephrase it in a way that sounds similar, but far worse. They usually succeed in having their victims walk right into their trap. To defend themselves, they fumble around, not noticing that the aggressor has altered their position. Later, they defend a perverted interpretation of their own ideology, and may unwittingly lend credibility to causes they oppose. Don't let someone who tries to misquote you win. You can just point out that they are simplifying or misinterpreting your meaning. Restate your position again, but this time maintain your composure. Number 6. Don't stay on the ship. And disagreement, despite your best intentions, may turn into a no-win scenario. It's possible that you know absolutely nothing about the topic on which you're arguing. Alternatively, your argument partner may be trying to bring you down in order to boost their own stature. Don't feel obligated to remain a part of a toxic environment if you find yourself there. You needn't become involved in this debate. It's not worth it if all it does is make you feel stupid and frustrated. Don't go down with the ship, instead, cut and run as soon as possible. Keep your cool and don't let your opponent push their views down your throat. If you don't feel like arguing, just say so and go. If you choose this method, just remember to leave right immediately. It's going to be more difficult to leave the longer you stay and dispute. Because if you leave in the middle of an argument, it would look like you're trying to escape. People won't understand that you're just trying to get away from a bad circumstance. Furthermore, your rival will conclude that they triumphed over you. You should get out of there quickly, before tempers really flare. If you are able to achieve that, then you have absolutely nothing to be embarrassed about. Thank you for watching Healthy Lifestyle Crib, and be sure to subscribe, because more incredible content is on the way.